The glass observation deck stretched across the entire northern wall of the Galactic Council chamber. Beyond it, the planet Consensus Prime rotated slowly, its surface covered in perfectly organized cities that sparkled like jewels. Inside the chamber, representatives from 47 different species sat in their designated seats. Arranged in concentric circles around a raised platform at the center, Emperor Jathic stepped onto the platform. His scales gleamed under the bright lights, shifting from deep purple to crimson as he moved. Each of his forearms gestured as he spoke, and his tail swayed behind him with measured grace. The chamber fell silent. When the Krillian Emperor spoke, everyone listened. His empire controlled 12 star systems and commanded the most powerful fleet in known space. Honored representatives, Jathic began, his voice amplified throughout the massive chamber. We gather today to discuss a growing threat to our peaceful galaxy. The humans. A holographic display materialized above the platform, showing a blue and green planet, Earth. Then the display zoomed out, revealing dozens of red dots spreading outward from the human homeworld like a disease. 300 years ago, we made first contact with this primitive species. They had just begun reaching their own moon. We offered them guidance, showed them the proper way to expand into space. We gave them access to the Protected Worlds Treaty, which clearly defines which planets may be colonized and which must remain untouched. Jathic's scales darkened to angry red. And how have they repaid our generosity? By ignoring every rule we established. They colonized protected worlds. They spread faster than any species in recorded history. They refused to follow the established laws that have kept peace in this galaxy for 10,000 years. The holographic display changed, showing images of human colonies, rough buildings made from local materials, ships that looked more like flying scrap metal than proper spacecraft, humans in their clumsy pressure suits, working in conditions that would kill most civilized species. Ambassador Teclon from the Viridian Collective raised one of his slender hands. Emperor, surely we can negotiate with them. War seems extreme. Jathic's laugh echoed through the chamber. Negotiate? We have tried for 300 years. They nod, they smile, they agree to our terms. Then they do exactly what they want anyway. No, Ambassador. The time for negotiation has passed. He gestured, and new images appeared. These showed military assessments, technical readouts, strategic analyses, all in the cold, efficient language of war. Look at their technology. 3 centuries into space travel, and they still use chemical rockets for half their fleet. Their weapons are primitive. Their ships are slow. Their military is divided among multiple governments that barely cooperate with each other. The strategic assessment is clear. They have no natural advantages, no special abilities, no hope of victory. Jathic raised all 4 arms high. I declare a war of extermination against the human species. We will remove them from the galaxy before they can spread further, before they can threaten the order we have built. This will be swift. This will be total. This will be merciful compared to allowing them to continue their reckless expansion. The chamber erupted in discussion. Some representatives nodded in agreement. Others looked uncertain. Ambassador Teclon sat quietly, his large eyes filled with concern. The vote will be taken tomorrow, Jathic announced. But make no mistake. With or without full council approval, the Krillian Empire will act. The humans must be stopped. 63 light-years away on a lunar defense station orbiting Earth's moon, Colonel Sarah Chen sat in the command center. The quantum burst transmission had just arrived. It took 3 weeks for messages to travel from Consensus Prime to Earth, even using the fastest known method of communication. Chen was 42 years old, though she looked younger. Her black hair was cut military short, and her dark eyes scanned the message on the screen in front of her. Behind her, other officers moved quietly through the command center, monitoring sensors and communications. She had spent 20 years in the military. She had fought in the Mars Rebellion when the colonies there tried to break away from Earth. She had led operations on 3 different worlds. She had seen combat that most people could not imagine, and now she was reading a declaration of war against her entire species. Ma'am, Lieutenant Park approached her station. What are your orders? Chen read the message one more time. The translation was clear. Emperor Jathic wanted humanity exterminated. He believed it would be easy. He thought humans were weak, primitive, doomed to fail. She stood up and walked to the communications console. Open a quantum burst channel. Maximum broadcast power. I want this message sent to every human settlement in known space. And I want it transmitted on every frequency the Galactic Council uses. Yes, ma'am. Channel open. Chen took a breath. Behind her, every officer in the command center stopped what they were doing to listen. This is Colonel Sarah Chen of the United Earth Defense Force. We have received the Galactic Council's declaration of war. We have read Emperor Jothic's assessment of our species. He believes we are weak. He believes we are primitive. He believes we have no hope of victory. She paused, letting her words carry across space to every human colony, and to every alien who would hear them. He is right that we are young compared to other species. He is right that our technology is not as advanced as yours. He is right that we have only been in space for 300 years. But he is wrong about one thing. He is very, very wrong about our chances. Chen's voice grew harder. You want to exterminate us? You think it will be easy? You think we will surrender when your fleets arrive? She smiled, though there was no humor in it. Challenge accepted. The transmission ended. In the command center, no one spoke for a long moment. Finally, Lieutenant Park asked quietly, "Ma'am, do you really think we can win?" Chen turned to face her officers. "I think we are about to teach the galaxy a very important lesson. Never ever underestimate humans just because we are young. Our ancestors survived ice ages and plagues. They crossed oceans in wooden boats. They walked on the moon using computers less powerful than a modern calculator. We are the descendants of survivors. And survivors do not give up just because the odds are bad." She looked out through the observation window at the Earth below, blue and beautiful against the black of space. Send orders to all human military forces. Begin emergency mobilization. Contact every colony and tell them to start preparing defenses. And get me aligned to the Joint Chiefs. We have a war to plan. Back on Consensus Prime, Ambassador Teclon watched the human transmission with growing concern. He had studied humanity for 50 years. He had visited Earth twice. He had read their history books and watched their entertainment and tried to understand what made them different from other species. Now, watching this Colonel Chen accept a war she could not win, he felt something he had never felt before. Fear, not fear of humans. Fear for what the Krillian Empire was about to unleash. He had read about human wars, how they fought each other with terrible determination, how they never seemed to understand when they were beaten, how they turned every resource, every piece of technology, every person into part of their war machine. Emperor Jothic saw primitive weapons and fractured governments. Teclon saw something else. He saw a species that had survived everything their harsh planet threw at them. He saw creatures who had climbed to the top of their food chain not through strength or speed, but through persistence and intelligence and the absolute refusal to give up. The vote would happen tomorrow. The war would begin soon after, and Teclon suspected that the galaxy was about to learn the same lesson that Earth's other predators had learned millions of years ago. Never corner a human. Never threaten their survival. Because humans did not fight fair. They fought to win. And they would rather die than surrender. The question was not whether the Krillian Empire could defeat humanity. The question was whether the Empire would survive the attempt. The Krillian Armada dropped out of faster-than-light travel at the edge of the Proxima Centauri system. 300 warships materialized in perfect formation, their hulls gleaming in the light of the distant star. Fleet Commander Zartok stood on the bridge of his flagship, all four of his eyes focused on the tactical display. Target confirmed, his tactical officer reported. Human colony on Proxima Centauri B population, approximately 50,000. Defenses are minimal. 3 orbital platforms, 12 patrol ships. Zartok clicked his mandibles in satisfaction. Broadcast surrender terms. Tell them they have 1 hour to evacuate to the planetary surface. Then we will destroy their orbital infrastructure. The communication went out. Zartok expected immediate compliance. Every other species knew that resistance against a Krillian battle fleet was suicide. The hour passed slowly. Zartok waited. And waited. "Commander," his communications officer said hesitantly, "we have received a response." "Good. Begin rescue operations for the evacuees." "Sir, they are not evacuating." The message says, and I quote, "We respectfully decline your surrender terms. Proxima Colony stands ready to defend itself." Zartok stared at the communications officer. "They decline? They have 12 patrol ships against our 300 warships. Do they not understand mathematics?" "Apparently not, sir." "Very well. If they wish to die defending a lost cause, we will grant their wish. All ships weapons free. Destroy the orbital platforms. The Krillian fleet opened fire. Plasma beams and particle weapons lit up the darkness of space. The human orbital platforms returned fire immediately. Their weapons were primitive by galactic standards. Simple kinetic cannons that fired metal slugs at high velocity, but there were a lot of slugs. The first platform exploded under concentrated fire. Then the second. The third platform should have been destroyed easily. Instead, something unexpected happened. The human patrol ships did not retreat. They accelerated toward the Krillian fleet. Commander, the human ships are approaching at full speed. They are not taking evasive action. Zartok watched in confusion. Are their navigation systems damaged? Why are they flying straight at us? He got his answer when the first human patrol ship slammed into a Krillian destroyer at thousands of kilometers per hour. The explosion was massive. Both ships disintegrated instantly. They are ramming us, the tactical officer shouted. The humans are using their ships as missiles. 11 more patrol ships followed. Each one picked a target and accelerated to maximum speed. 11 more impacts. 11 more Krillian ships destroyed or crippled. Zartok stood frozen. In his 300 years of military service, he had never seen anything like this. No species used their ships as weapons. It was illogical. It was wasteful. It was insane. What kind of creatures are these? He whispered. The Battle of Proxima lasted 6 hours. The human colony had no chance of victory. Everyone knew this. But they fought anyway. When their ships were gone, they used the debris as weapons, launching chunks of destroyed platforms at Krillian vessels. When their weapons ran out of ammunition, they broadcast false coordinates and fake distress signals to confuse Krillian sensors. When it was over, the Krillian fleet had won. But they had lost 23 ships. 23 ships destroyed by an enemy that was supposed to be weak and primitive. The survivors of Proxima Colony, now prisoners, were transferred to a Krillian transport ship. Zartok went to interrogate them personally. The human commander was a woman named Captain Rodriguez. She sat in the detention cell with her arms crossed, her face bruised but her eyes defiant. Why did you not surrender? Zartok demanded. You knew you would lose. You knew most of your people would die. Why fight? Rodriguez smiled. It was not a happy smile. Because every ship we destroyed here will not be available to attack the next colony. Because every hour we delayed, you gave other colonies time to prepare. Because we wanted you to know that humans do not surrender just because the fight is hard. That is illogical. Maybe. But it is human. 3 star systems away. Colonel Sarah Chen received the report of Proxima's fall. She studied the casualty numbers. Then she studied the Krillian casualties. 23 ships lost out of 300, a ratio of nearly 10 to 1 in the enemy's favor, but 23 ships that would never threaten another colony. She called a meeting of her senior staff. The Krillians are learning their first lesson. Humans do not surrender. Now we need to teach them the second lesson. Humans adapt. Lieutenant Commander Park pulled up tactical displays. We have captured drone footage from Proxima. The Krillian ships have excellent shields, but they focus most of their defensive power forward. Their ships are designed for long-range combat where both sides stay at a distance and exchange fire. Chen nodded. Because no civilized species fights at close range. No civilized species uses kamikaze tactics. No civilized species turns their own ships into weapons. But we are not civilized by their standards, another officer said. Exactly, Chen said. Send new orders to all colonies. We are changing tactics. From now on, every battle has one goal. Make the enemy bleed. Make every victory cost them ships, soldiers, time. We cannot win stand-up fights against superior technology, so we do not fight stand-up fights. On the colony world of Kepler 442b, those new orders arrived just as Krillian ships entered orbit. The colony's governor was a retired Marine general named Wu. He had fought in 3 wars before retiring to what he thought would be a peaceful colony world. He looked at the Krillian fleet through his office window. 50 ships, more than enough to destroy the colony's defenses. But General Wu had spent 40 years learning how to fight enemies with better weapons and superior numbers. Send the surrender, he ordered. His aide looked shocked. Sir, send it. Tell them we surrender. Tell them we will accept occupation. Wu smiled grimly. Then activate Protocol Insurgent. Protocol Insurgent was something the Krillians had never encountered. It was guerrilla warfare adapted for space colonies. As Krillian troops landed and took control of the colony, Everything seemed peaceful. The humans cooperated. They followed orders. They caused no trouble. Then the first supply depot exploded. Then 3 Krillian officers disappeared. Then the water treatment plant stopped working. Then the communication arrays went offline. It was never major attacks. It was always small problems. A sabotaged vehicle here. A booby trap there. False intelligence reports, misdirection, harassment. The Krillian occupation commander was named Thrakmil. He found himself fighting an enemy he could not see. The human civilians all claimed innocence. But someone was planting bombs. Someone was destroying equipment. Someone was making his occupation mission impossible. Find the insurgents, he ordered his troops. Search every building. Question every human. But the insurgents were everyone and no one. They were farmers who planted explosives in their fields. They were teachers who taught children how to resist. They were doctors who treated wounded fighters. They were ordinary people who refused to accept defeat. After 3 months, Thrakmil requested reinforcements. After 6 months, he requested permission to withdraw. The colony was secured in name only. Controlling it required more troops and resources than it was worth. Meanwhile, Colonel Chen led a strike team on an operation that would have seemed impossible a year ago. They were going to capture a Krillian dreadnought. The target was the KIS Dominator, a massive warship that served as the command vessel for a Krillian battle group. Chen's team consisted of 20 soldiers in EVA suits, armed with breaching charges and small arms. They launched from a civilian freighter that had been converted into a stealth transport. The plan was simple and insane. Get close to the dreadnought while it was in orbit around a captured colony. Use magnetic clamps to attach to the hull. Cut through into the ship. Fight their way to the bridge. Capture or kill the command crew. No civilized species would try such a tactic. Boarding actions were considered too dangerous and too primitive. But Chen was counting on that. The Krillians would not expect it because no one did it. The approach took 6 hours. Moving slowly to avoid detection, Chen's team drifted through space toward the massive warship. When they were close enough, they activated their magnetic clamps and attached to the hull. The breaching charges were placed carefully. Then they blew a hole in the armor and entered the ship. The fight inside was brutal and close. Humans had one advantage in close combat. They had evolved as hunters. Their hand-eye coordination was excellent. Their ability to track moving targets in 3-dimensional space was superior to most species. And they were absolutely ruthless. It took 40 minutes to fight from the hull breach to the bridge. Chen lost 8 soldiers, but when she kicked open the bridge door, she found herself facing the Krillian captain and his bridge crew. They stared at her in shock. This was not supposed to be possible. Surrender your ship, Chen ordered, her weapon pointed at the captain. The captain's scales shifted to confusion. You are insane. Even if you capture the bridge, you cannot control the ship. You do not know our systems, Chen smiled. We do not need to control it. We just need to make sure you cannot use it anymore. She tapped her wrist computer. Elsewhere in the ship, her team activated demolition charges they had planted throughout critical systems. The Dreadnought's reactor went critical, 6 months into the war, the galaxy watched in fascination and horror as the Krillian Empire committed more than half its military to exterminating humanity. 5,000 warships now hunted human colonies across dozens of star systems. Billions of credits were spent every day. Thousands of Krillian soldiers had died, and humanity still fought. On Earth, Colonel Sarah Chen stood in front of a holographic star map. Red markers showed Krillian fleet positions. Blue markers showed human colonies. Many of the blue markers were crossed out, representing colonies that had been destroyed or captured, but each destroyed colony had cost the enemy ships and time. Chen had been promoted to general. It was a promotion she had not wanted but accepted, because someone needed to coordinate humanity's desperate defense. She looked tired. Everyone looked tired, but no one talked about surrender. Status report, she ordered. Admiral Torres stepped forward. He was in charge of the newly formed Terran Retaliation Force. We have completed development of the weapon systems you requested. The Galactic Council will not be happy. The Galactic Council declared war on us, Chen said coldly. Their happiness is not my concern. Show me. The holographic display changed, showing 3 different weapon designs. The first was labeled Kinetic Kill Vehicle. It was essentially a massive metal rod accelerated to a significant fraction of light speed. When it hit a planet, the impact would be equivalent to a nuclear weapon. Simple, brutal, effective. The second design showed swarms of AI-guided drones. Each drone was small and cheap to produce. Individually, they were not dangerous, but thousands of them working together could overwhelm even the most advanced defensive systems. The third design made even Chen uncomfortable. It was a biological weapon, specifically engineered to target Krillian biochemistry. The Galactic Council banned all three of these weapon types, Admiral Torres said. They consider them too unethical for civilized warfare. Chen studied the designs. The Council also voted to exterminate our entire species. I think we are past worrying about their rules of civilized warfare. Begin production on all three systems. We will use whatever weapons we need to survive. Lieutenant Commander Park looked worried. General, if we use these weapons, the other Council species might join the war against us. They might, Chen agreed. But they also might see that attacking humanity is more costly than they thought. Fear is a weapon too. Begin production. The first use of the new weapons came 2 weeks later. A Krillian supply convoy was traveling through deep space, carrying ammunition and equipment to forward operating bases. They never detected the kinetic kill vehicles until impact. 3 supply ships disintegrated in seconds. The convoy's escort vessels searched for the attackers but found nothing. The projectiles had been launched from thousands of kilometers away. The drone swarms made their appearance during an assault on the Mars colonies. Krillian ships approached expecting the usual desperate defense. Instead, they found themselves surrounded by thousands of small drones. Each drone carried just enough explosive to damage ship sensors or communication arrays. Individually harmless, together they blinded and confused the entire fleet. While the Krillians fought the swarms, human ships moved in close and used conventional weapons to destroy the larger enemy vessels. It was a victory, and it was achieved through a tactic the Krillians had never encountered before. Emperor Jathik watched the battle reports with growing frustration. They are not fighting like any species we have faced before. They ignore all established tactical doctrine. They use forbidden weapons. They attack our supply lines. They refuse to engage in direct combat when they can use asymmetric tactics instead. His chief military advisor agreed. Your Majesty, I must recommend we reconsider this war. The humans are costing us more than we anticipated. Other species are beginning to question whether the expense is worth it. Jathik's scales shifted to dark red. We are committed. To withdraw now would be to admit weakness. The Krillian Empire does not show weakness. But privately, Jathik was beginning to understand that he had made a terrible mistake. He had thought humans were weak because their technology was primitive. He had not considered that humans had survived on a world that would kill most other species. Earth was what the galaxy called a death world. High gravity that made its inhabitants strong. Extreme weather that taught adaptation. Aggressive predators that forced early humans to become hunters themselves. Diseases that killed the weak and left only the strong. Humans had not developed advanced technology quickly because they were busy simply surviving. But that survival had shaped them in ways the galaxy did not understand. It had made them persistent. It had made them creative. It had made them absolutely unwilling to quit. General Chen understood this. She was about to use it. Admiral Torres, I have a mission for you. I want you to take the retaliation force and do something no one expects. What is that, General? I want you to attack Krillian space. Not their forward bases, not their supply lines. I want you to attack their home territory. Torres stared at her. That is deep in Council space. We would have to travel through multiple star systems controlled by other species. The risk is enormous, yes, Chen agreed. But the Emperor thinks we are on the defensive. He thinks we are fighting for survival. I want to show him that humans do not just defend. When you threaten us, we threaten you back. When you attack our homes, we attack yours. The Terran retaliation force departed 2 days later, 30 ships. Most of them modified civilian vessels with military weapons grafted on. They looked like junk compared to proper Krillian warships. But they were fast and they were commanded by officers who had been chosen for their willingness to take risks. Admiral Torres led them through a route that avoided major Krillian patrols. It took 3 weeks to reach Krillian space. When they arrived, Torres divided his force into 6 groups. Each group had a specific target. The first group attacked a Krillian monument world. These were planets with historical significance, covered in statues and temples celebrating Krillian culture. The human ships did not bombard the planet. Instead, they broadcast images of Krillian defeats. They showed the destroyed dreadnought. They showed colonies that had cost the Empire thousands of soldiers to capture. They showed humans refusing to surrender. It was psychological warfare. The message was clear. Your empire is not invincible. Your emperor cannot protect you. Humans are not afraid of you. The second group hit Krillian communication relays, disrupting the emperor's ability to coordinate his forces. The third group destroyed automated mining stations, hurting the empire's economy. The fourth group released millions of tiny satellites that broadcast human messages on every communication frequency. The fifth group had the most dangerous mission. They were to penetrate deep into Krillian space and strike at a target of opportunity. That opportunity came when they detected a Krillian royal transport. Emperor Jathik's son, Prince Drakmil, was traveling to inspect forward bases. His ship was heavily defended, but the human attack group did not try to destroy it. Instead, they disabled its engines and left it drifting. Then they broadcast images of the helpless royal transport across the galaxy. The prince was rescued 6 hours later, but the damage was done. The Krillian royal family was not safe. Humanity had shown they could strike anywhere, anytime. When Admiral Torres and his fleet returned to human space, they had lost only 4 ships. But they had achieved something much more valuable than a tactical victory. They had shown the galaxy that humans would not just defend themselves. They would attack. They would hurt anyone who threatened them. Ambassador Teclon watched the news reports and felt his concerns deepen. He sent a message to the other council members. Honored representatives, we must reconsider this war. The humans are demonstrating capabilities we did not anticipate. More concerning, they are demonstrating a mindset we do not fully understand. They are willing to take enormous risks. They are willing to sacrifice themselves. They are willing to strike back even when doing so provides no strategic advantage. He paused, choosing his words carefully. I have studied human history. On their homeworld, they fought wars that lasted decades. They fought battles where survival meant victory, even if it cost them everything. They have a concept they call revenge. It is not logical. It is not efficient. But it is very, very human. The Emperor wants to exterminate them because they are troublesome, but I fear we are teaching them to hate us. And a species that refuses to surrender and is motivated by hate will not stop fighting until one side is completely destroyed. Several council members began quietly withdrawing support for the war. They had agreed to it thinking it would be brief and decisive. 6 months later, it was becoming a costly disaster. The Krillian Empire was still winning battles, but each victory cost more than the last. Emperor Jathik found himself increasingly isolated. His calls for more support were met with polite refusals. His requests for additional troops were denied. The other council species were learning what Teclon already knew. Never start a war with humans unless you are prepared to finish it. Because humans will not quit. They will not negotiate. They will fight with everything they have until either they win or everyone dies trying. 18 months into the war, the Galactic Council finally understood what they were fighting. A xenobiologist named Dr. Shentar published a research paper that spread through council space like wildfire. The title was simple: Understanding Human Evolution and Its Military Implications. The paper explained what made humans different. Earth was not a gentle world. Its gravity was higher than most inhabited planets. Its weather was violent and unpredictable. Its predators were numerous and deadly. And early humans had no natural weapons. No claws, no armor, no venom, no size advantage. So humans evolved different advantages. They evolved endurance. A human could run for hours, chasing prey until it collapsed from exhaustion. They evolved pattern recognition, able to track animals across vast distances. They evolved social cooperation, hunting in groups and sharing knowledge. They evolved hands that could make tools and brains that could plan ahead. Most importantly, they evolved persistence. On Earth, giving up meant death. So humans learned never to give up. The paper analyzed human military history. It showed wars that lasted for decades. It showed battles where humans fought to the last soldier. It showed a species that would rather die fighting than accept defeat. And it concluded with a warning. Attempting to exterminate humans is strategically unwise. They will fight with total commitment until either they win or both sides are destroyed. Ambassador Teclon forwarded the paper to every council member with a simple note. I tried to tell you, but Emperor Jathik refused to accept it. One research paper will not change military reality. he declared. "We are still stronger. We still have superior technology. We will crush them." His personal fleet, the Emperor's Fist, departed for the Sol system. 1,000 warships, including his personal flagship. Jathik would lead the final assault himself. He would be present when Earth fell. He would personally accept humanity's surrender, if they surrendered. General Sarah Chen watched the Krillian fleet approach through the outer solar system. They would reach the asteroid belt in 3 days. The belt defense was ready. Tens of thousands of asteroids had been converted into weapons platforms. Millions of mines drifted in carefully calculated orbits. It was the most heavily defended location in human space. It would not be enough. Chen knew this. Even with all their preparations, the Krillian fleet would eventually break through. They had too many ships, too much firepower. But breaking through would cost them. It would cost them heavily. "All stations, this is General Chen. The Emperor himself is coming to destroy our home. He thinks we will surrender when faced with his entire fleet. He thinks we will beg for mercy when our defenses fall. He does not understand humans." She paused, looking at the faces on the video screens around her. Commanders on Mars, on the Moon, on orbital platforms, on asteroid stations. Tired faces. Determined faces. Human faces. "We have been fighting for 18 months. We have lost colonies. We have lost friends and family. We have watched our people die defending worlds the galaxy said we had no right to settle. But we are still here, and we will still be here when this is over." The Emperor is about to learn what every would-be conqueror in human history learned. You cannot defeat people who refuse to be defeated. You cannot break people who refuse to break. You can kill us, but you cannot make us quit. So let them come. Let them see what humans are really capable of. And let them learn why you never ever threaten a species that evolved as persistence hunters. Because we will chase you until one of us drops. And humans do not drop easily. The Battle of the Asteroid Belt began when the Krillian fleet entered the outer edge of the field. Immediately, thousands of automated weapons platforms opened fire. Kinetic projectiles, missiles, energy beams, all directed at the approaching ships. The Krillian ships had expected this. Their shields absorbed the initial barrage. They advanced in formation, their own weapons destroying weapons platforms by the hundreds. Then the asteroids started moving. Engines that had been hidden on thousands of rocks ignited. Asteroids that weighed millions of tons began accelerating. Not fast, but fast enough. They moved into the paths of Krillian ships. When a warship tried to destroy an approaching asteroid, its explosion sent fragments flying in all directions. Each fragment became a projectile. The Krillian fleet pushed forward. They lost ships, but they advanced. That was when they hit the minefields. Millions of small devices. Each one barely larger than a person's fist, but each one carrying enough explosive to damage a ship's hull. The mines were designed to target engines and weapon systems, not to destroy ships outright, but to cripple them. Crippled ships became obstacles. Other ships had to maneuver around them. Formation broke down. Carefully planned tactics became chaotic improvisation. That was when the human fleet attacked. Admiral Torres led 300 ships against 1,000. Under normal circumstances, it would have been suicide. But these were not normal circumstances. The Krillian fleet was scattered, damaged, confused. And humans had been training for this moment for 18 months. The human ships did not engage in long-range combat. They dove into the Krillian formation, using the asteroids as cover, striking fast and retreating before return fire could hit them. It was guerrilla warfare translated to space combat. Hit and run, strike and fade, make them chase you through terrain they do not understand. On his flagship, Emperor Jathik watched in growing frustration. His fleet was winning. His casualty reports showed human losses mounting. But his own losses were far higher than projected. And worst of all, the humans were not retreating. Every time his forces destroyed a human ship, 2 more appeared to take its place. "Where are they getting reinforcements?" he demanded. His tactical officer checked the sensors. "Your Majesty, those are not reinforcements. Those are civilian ships. Cargo haulers, mining vessels, even passenger transports. They have been fitted with weapons." Jathik stared at the display. "They are using civilian ships in combat? That is insane. Those vessels have no armor, no military-grade shields. They will be destroyed." "Yes, Your Majesty. But they are buying time for their military vessels to rearm and repair." It was true. Human civilians were volunteering to fly combat missions in ships that had no business being in a war zone. They knew they would probably die. They went anyway. because that was what humans did when their home was threatened. The battle lasted 7 days. When it was over, the Krillian fleet had pushed through the asteroid belt. But they had lost 400 ships. 40% of the Emperor's fist was gone. And ahead of them waited the inner solar system, where humanity had even more defenses prepared. On Mars, General Chen studied the battle reports. The belt defense had performed better than expected, but the Krillians were still coming. They would reach Earth orbit in 2 weeks. General, Admiral Torres said quietly, we stopped them from reinforcing. The Council species are all watching. Some are starting to send us diplomatic communications. They want to mediate a peace settlement, and the Emperor refuses to negotiate. He says he will accept nothing less than total human surrender. Chen nodded slowly. Then we give him what every conqueror in human history eventually received. Totalvar, send a message to all human forces. We are going to do something the Emperor will not expect. We are going to attack his homeworld. The room went silent. Finally, Torres spoke. General, all our forces are committed to defending Earth. We do not have ships available for an offensive. We do not need ships, Chen said. We need one ship, and we need a crew crazy enough to fly it into the heart of the Krillian Empire. She pulled up a schematic. It showed a modified freighter with experimental faster-than-light engines. This ship can make the journey in 5 days. It carries one payload, a kinetic kill vehicle, accelerated to 0.9 light speed and aimed at the Krillian homeworld. Torres stared at the screen. You want to bombard their home planet? General, that could kill billions of civilians. No, Chen said firmly. We will not target population centers. We will target monuments, government buildings, military headquarters. We will show the Emperor that if Earth falls, his home burns. We will show him that humanity will not go quietly into extinction. If he wants to exterminate us, he will pay a price that makes victory meaningless. She looked around the room. The Emperor thinks we are fighting to survive. He is wrong. We are fighting to win, and humans do not quit until the fight is over, so we show him what total war really means. We show him that threatening humanity was the worst mistake his empire ever made. The mission was approved. A crew volunteered. The modified freighter, designated Retribution, departed 2 days later. Its crew knew they probably would not return. They went anyway. Meanwhile, Emperor Jathic prepared his forces for the final assault on Earth. His son, Prince Drakmil, commanded one of the assault fleets. The prince had been humiliated when humans disabled his transport. Now he wanted revenge, but as the Krillian fleets moved into position around Earth, they received an urgent communication from the home world. Enemy vessel detected in Krillian space. Weapons deployment imminent. Location, directly above the capital city. Jathic's scales went pale. How did they get past our defenses? Unknown, Your Majesty. The ship appears to be a modified civilian vessel. It is broadcasting a message on all frequencies. The galaxy held its breath. Emperor Jathic stood on the bridge of his flagship, surrounded by his most trusted advisors. Above his homeworld, a single human ship waited. On Earth, billions of people waited. The Galactic Council watched through long-range sensors, knowing that the next few hours would determine the fate of 2 civilizations. Ambassador Teclon sent an urgent message to the Emperor. Your Majesty, I beg you to accept their terms. This war has already cost too much. Do not let pride destroy everything you have built. But Jathic was not thinking about pride. He was thinking about the message he would send if he surrendered to a species the galaxy considered primitive. Every other civilization would see weakness. The Krillian Empire would lose its status. His own people might remove him from power, yet if he refused, his homeworld would burn, his family would die, his civilization's capital would be destroyed, and humanity would still fight to the last person. 23 hours passed. The deadline approached. General Chen sat in the command center on Mars watching the clock count down. She had authorized the Retribution to fire if negotiations failed. It was the hardest order she had ever given, but if humanity was going to die, they would not die alone. With 1 hour remaining, a message arrived from the Emperor's flagship. It was not addressed to Earth's military command. It was not addressed to any government. It was addressed personally to General Sarah Chen. General Chen, I wish to speak with you directly. No advisors, no diplomats, just 2 military commanders who understand what this war has cost. I will meet you in neutral space. Alone. Chen read the message twice. It could be a trap, but something in the Emperor's words suggested otherwise. This was not a proud ruler making demands. This was a soldier who was tired of fighting. I accept, she transmitted back. Send coordinates. The meeting took place on a neutral station in deep space halfway between Earth and Krillian space. Security protocols were strict. No weapons. No guards within the meeting chamber. Just two people who had spent 18 months trying to destroy each other. Chen entered the chamber first. It was a simple room with a table and two chairs. Large windows showed the stars outside. She wore her military uniform, clean but showing signs of wear. She had not slept properly in weeks. Emperor Jothic entered from the opposite door. He was taller than Chen, his forearms moving with careful precision. His scales were a neutral gray, the color Krillian showed when they were uncertain. His eyes studied her carefully. They sat across from each other. For a long moment neither spoke. Finally, Jothic said, "You are not what I expected." "What did you expect?" Chen asked. "A barbarian, a savage, something that would justify everything I have done." Jothic gestured toward the window. "Instead, I find a soldier who fights like I would fight if my home was threatened. You used every advantage. You ignored rules that did not serve you. You turned your entire civilization into a weapon. You did exactly what I would have done in your position." Chen nodded slowly. "You started this war because you thought we were a threat to galactic order. You were right. We do not follow your rules. We colonize worlds you tell us not to colonize. We expand faster than you think is proper. We are a threat to the way things have always been done. So why should I not finish what I started?" Jothic asked. "Because you cannot finish it," Chen said simply. "You can destroy Earth, you can kill every human in known space. But we have already sent colony ships to places you will never find. We have hidden weapons you do not know about. We have made plans that will execute even if we all die. Humanity will survive. And we will remember what you did. We will hunt your empire across the galaxy. It might take us a century. It might take us 1,000 years. But we will never stop, never," she leaned forward. "Or you can end this war now. You can accept that humanity is here to stay. You can work with us instead of trying to destroy us. Because, Emperor, we are not your real problem. Your real problem is that the galaxy is changing. New species will keep emerging. Technology will keep advancing. The old order cannot last forever. You are saying I should accept defeat?" Jothic's scales shifted toward red. "I am saying you should accept reality. This war has no winner, only survivors. You can be one of those survivors, or you can keep fighting until both our civilizations are broken. Your choice." Jothic was silent for a long time. Outside the window, stars drifted by, indifferent to the struggles of the beings who lived among them. "My son died in your asteroid belt," Jothic said quietly. "Prince Drakmil. His ship was destroyed in the first wave. I received the report 3 days ago." Chen felt a stab of sympathy. "I lost my sister on Proxima. She was a civilian. She died when your fleet bombarded the colony." They looked at each other, two commanders who had both paid personal prices for a war neither had really wanted. "If I agree to your terms," Jothic said slowly, "my empire will see it as weakness. Some will call for my removal. I might lose everything I have built." "If you do not agree," Chen replied, "you will definitely lose everything. Your homeworld, your empire, your legacy. At least this way you can rebuild. At least this way the Krillian Empire survives." Jothic stood and walked to the window. His reflection stared back at him. A once proud emperor now faced with an impossible choice. "Why did you accept the challenge?" he asked. "When I declared war, you could have tried to negotiate. You could have offered compromises. Why did you immediately accept?" Chen joined him at the window. "Because you did not offer negotiation. You offered extermination. When someone threatens to kill everyone you love, you do not negotiate. You fight. That is what humans do. That is what we have always done." She turned to face him. "But fighting does not mean we want war. It means we refuse to be victims. There is a difference." Jothic made a decision. "I will order my fleets to withdraw from human space. I will pay reparations for the colonies we destroyed. And I will recommend to the Galactic Council that humanity be granted full membership with all the rights and protections that includes." Chen felt relief wash over her. "And the ship above your homeworld will return to Earth. No weapons will be fired. The war ends today. They sealed the agreement with a gesture that neither species had used before but both understood. They shook hands. News of the peace spread across the galaxy within hours. The Krillian Empire withdrew its forces. The ship Retribution left Krillian space without firing a shot. On Earth, people celebrated in the streets. 18 months of war had ended, not with humanity's extinction, but with their survival. 3 months later, the Galactic Council held a formal ceremony. General Sarah Chen stood before the assembled representatives. Wearing a dress uniform she had never expected to wear in a place she had never expected to visit. Ambassador Teclon presented the official documents. By unanimous vote of the Galactic Council, humanity is granted full membership. You are entitled to all rights and protections under Council law. Welcome to the galactic community. Chen accepted the documents. Then she spoke, and her words were broadcast across the entire galaxy. 18 months ago, humanity was told we had no right to exist among the stars. We were called primitive. We were called dangerous. We were marked for extermination. One of your representatives said we should accept our fate, that we had no hope. She paused, letting her words sink in. Our response was simple. Challenge accepted. We did not ask for this war. But when it came, we fought with everything we had. We used every weapon, every tactic, every resource. We turned our entire civilization into a war machine, not because we wanted to, but because we had no choice. But here is what you need to understand about humanity. We did not fight because we love war. We fought because we love peace. We love our homes. We love our families. We love life. And we will defend those things with everything we have every single time. Chen looked around the chamber, meeting the eyes of representatives from dozens of species. Emperor Jothic thought we were weak because we are young. He thought we were primitive because our technology is not as advanced as yours. He was wrong. Strength is not about technology. Strength is about refusing to quit when everything looks hopeless. Humanity earned its place here not through superior weapons, but through superior determination. We earned it by showing that we will not be bullied. We will not surrender our right to exist. We will not accept that others know better what is good for us. She held up the membership documents. So yes, we accept your welcome. We will follow your laws when they are just. We will work with you to build a better galaxy, but never forget the lesson of this war. Never threaten humanity with extinction because we take it personally. And we never ever forget. The chamber was silent. Then slowly, Emperor Jothic stood. His scales were a deep blue, the color of respect among Krillians. He began to applaud. One by one, other representatives joined him. After the ceremony, Chen walked through the gardens of Consensus Prime with Ambassador Teclon. The alien had become something like a friend during the peace negotiations. You surprised everyone, Teclon said. Not by surviving, by how you survived. The galaxy has never seen a species fight the way humans fight. Chen smiled. We had good teachers. Every predator that tried to eat our ancestors. Every disease that tried to kill us. Every ice age and drought and disaster.